Well, good morning. I want to welcome you all to the commission meeting for the Tennessee Fish and Wildlife Commission. And I'm Jeff Cook. I'm the vice chair, and unfortunately, our chairman, Jamie Woodson, still a bit under the weather. So here we go again today. So I'd like to call on Chairman Cox to please lead us in the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Lord, we thank you for this beautiful day. It's hard on us, but we appreciate the snow and the cold weather. It makes us appreciate summertime. We ask you to bless this agency, bless this commission, and may our thoughts and words be pleasing to you. We ask you to bless our servicemen, bless our country, our president, so that they all may work together for good things. We ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Cox. And so as usual, if we have anybody in the audience that wants to speak, please come to the microphone and state your name and address any comments or questions toward either me or whichever chairman is leading that committee meeting. We also please remember to silence your cell phones. Yeah, I've done that. Good. Have a few guests with us. We have the folks that travel the furthest. We have Jim Couch and Dave Kostersky from Ducks Unlimited Canada, and they'll be doing a presentation for us in a bit. And glad y'all are here. Thanks for coming. We have Mike Butler and Andrew Percy, from Tennessee Wildlife Federation. Boyd Barker from Department of Ag, always with us, and Ron Crabtree is here. So thank all y'all for coming. We have the minutes were sent to us previously, and they're in our packet. Do I have a motion for approval? Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. It's approved. And I think that's it for announcements, unless Director Carter, you have any announcements? Danette, would you please call the roll?
Dennis Gardner.
Here.
Angie Box. Bill Cox.
Here.
Connie King.
Here.
Chad Baker. James Stroud.
Here.
Bill Swan.
Here.
Kent Woods.
Here.
Brian McLaren.
Here.
Tony Sanders.
Here.
Kurt Holbert.
Here.
Jeff Cook.
Here.
Jamie Woodson. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Well, thank you. All right, well, we'll get started. I'd like to recognize Mark Ridings, the Chief of Information Technology, for a presentation.
Good morning, Chairman Cook, Commissioners. I'm here to present the IT Professional Award for 2007. The IT Professional of the Year Award was introduced in 2012 by then Chief of IT Michael May. Since then, this award has become very competitive within our division. Each year, the IT division selects an IT Professional of the Year awardee from the year's 4 quarterly award winners. Each quarterly award winner is selected from candidates who have been nominated by the IT management team. These nominations are based on both quantitative and qualitative data, making the decision for an awardee in no way a popularity contest. You will find that each of our quarterly award recipients has distinguished themselves both personally and professionally in the execution of their duties in the previous quarter. In each subsequent quarter, it has become more and more difficult to select just one nominee from the many exceptional individuals within our division. This year's awardee is no exception. This year's recipient has distinguished themselves by providing exceptional service as an information resource support specialist for the IT division of TWRA. They were brought in as a lead technician to oversee the help desk desktop support team in 2017, bringing with them a wealth of knowledge from time spent with the Tennessee Department of Corrections as well as the United States Army. In only 9 months with the agency, their leadership and expertise already shows in their team members, and they are quickly setting the example for the rest of their team. In specific, our recipient was an integral part in coordinating the move of the agency divisions to the studio area and back to their proper locations during the recent building renovations. They also worked with the rest of the IT desktop team in creating an image for the new Toughbook laptops that will be deployed to our officers as part of the new computer-aided dispatch system implementation. Their efforts made it possible to come up with a way to image the new laptops when normal process we used would not work. Moreover, they accomplished all of these aforementioned responsibilities with a true sense of professionalism and attention to quality, while providing the highest level of genuinely courteous and heartfelt customer service. Their distinctive accomplishments reflect great credit upon themselves, our Information Technology Division, the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency, and the state of Tennessee. It is both my honor and my privilege to present the 2017 Information Technology Professional of the Year Award to Mark Turner.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's a whole lot prettier picture. So, well, congratulations, Mark. Thanks for all you do. I'd like to recognize Mark Gudlin, the Chief of Wildlife and Forestry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is one of the highlights of my year when I get to recognize two of the many exceptional employees that we have in the Wildlife and Forestry Division. These recipients had received an award at an agency meeting back in September, but we greatly appreciate the opportunity to recognize them publicly before the commission. The TWRA Wildlife Technician of the Year for 2017 is Josh Roberson from Region 1. Josh has worked on the Kentucky Lake and Natchez Trace WMA's crew for 7 years now and has proven to be a valuable asset. In this time, he's gone above and beyond his job requirements in helping maintain and promote hunting, fishing, and trapping in the local area along Kentucky Lake. Josh assists in banding each year at the Tennessee National Wildlife Refuge's Duck River Unit, where he has helped catch and band over 1,000 geese and 2,500 wood ducks, in addition to the banding efforts that he's involved in on the Kentucky Lake properties. He has notoriety as a proficient trapper, particularly trapping beavers on our waterfowl impoundments every winter, averaging about 50 to 70 beavers, and with a record of 91 in a single year. And this effort alone saves countless man-hours and agency dollars every spring by not having to deal with high water around crops due to beaver dams. He's a certified hunter education instructor, and he assists local officers in teaching multiple hunter education courses in Benton County. He's also volunteered in other kids' outdoors events, such as the Kids Fishing Rodeo at the Nathan Bedford Forest State Park on Free Fishing Day and the last 2 years, and the Tennessee National Wildlife Refuge's Green Wing Day, which allows youth to participate in wood duck trapping efforts. In his aspirations to further his education and knowledge, Josh has also taken extra training classes that are offered by the state, as well as attending conferences and seminars conducted by local universities pertaining to wildlife management. He works well with agency personnel and partners and is often called on to assist our constituents with wildlife concerns and problems. Josh's work ethic, positive attitude, and representation of the agency help set the standard, and we are greatly appreciative of his efforts. Josh. We'd also like to recognize Josh's supervisor, David Aldridge. Our next award recipient is the Wildlife Biologist of the Year for 2017, who's Dan Gibbs of Region 4. Dan earned his bachelor's degree at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, and his master's at Tennessee Tech, and began his career with the agency in 1997. Since 2002, he served as a biologist in East Tennessee, responsible for the regional management of deer, bear, turkey, waterfowl, small game, and fur bearers. And in 2016, he was also designated the agency's statewide bear program leader. Dan was instrumental in establishing the current Tennessee bear hunting zones based on sound data and management techniques that allow for sustainability or growth in each zone. He has worked closely with the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, the Cumberland Gap National Historical Park, and Gatlinburg, Townsend, and other communities on bear conflict and nuisance issues, and also to acquire funding for and increase the use of bear-proof garbage cans. Dan is responsible for coordinating with the Appalachian Bear Rescue Center in admitting orphaned and abandoned bear cubs and later relocating these cubs back into the wild. In the last 2 years, Dan has worked with several partners to obtain funding to put radio collars on relocated nuisance bears from the Smokies and orphaned cubs rehabilitated by the Appalachian Bear Rescue Center and subsequently released in the wild to follow their movements and survival, which is information that should prove very valuable to us in the future regarding future bear management strategies. This year, he worked with other agency personnel to establish an online bear reporting system on our website for the public to log in bear sightings, which again should provide useful data for gauging bear interactions with the public and to monitor the westward expansion of black bears in our state. He also works with the Gatlinburg Bear Task Force in an effort to educate the thousands of visitors that visit that area annually. He's also been working with the National Park Conservation Program to set up a bear educational program within the National Park Service in the eastern United States. Dan currently serves as the chair of the Southeastern Association of Fish and Wildlife Agencies Large Carnivore Working Group and has long been an active member of the Southeast Black Bear Work Group. His leadership and involvement over the last several years in these working groups has resulted in a multi-state bear population study based on DNA analysis of hair samples and adoption of a multi-state educational outreach program called BearWise, sponsored by the Southeastern Association of Fish and Wildlife Agencies and several other eastern states. This program includes various strategies to educate the public on how to live responsibly with black bears. Dan's work and influence in the black bear arena has also helped sway the International Bear-Human Conflict Workshop being held this March in Gatlinburg, which is the first time that this conference has been held east of the Mississippi River. Dan was also chosen this year as the Southeastern Association of Fish and Wildlife Agencies Wildlife Biologist of the Year. And in his humbleness, Dan acknowledges that his recognition also reflects the work of many other people. And we are very proud of his representation of the agency. Congratulations, Dan. Recognize Dan's supervisor, John Mike, who's the Region 4 Wildlife Program Manager. Sure you won't be in there?
Dan, I'd like to say something. Dan, I really appreciate the bear-proof trash cans. That has helped out in our area so much. But now you're going to have to figure out how to keep them from opening car doors.
Congratulations, Josh and Dan. Thanks so much for what you do. And that field work I know it's hard work, but it sounds like that could be a lot of fun sometimes, so I'm jealous of that. But like to recognize Dave Kostersky from Ducks Unlimited Canada, otherwise known as DU Dave.
Thank you very much, Chairman. I'm back again today. Thank you for the time yesterday, and I was hoping, and it sounds like we may have enough time for me to try that video again, if you're all up for it. I'll throw that video up, and then we'll get on with the awards that we plan on doing today. In this video, again, it's about a conservation easement that was done in Saskatchewan, and it highlights the landowners in particular, their passion for what they've protected through our partnership, and I think you'll get a lot out of it.
We're about 6 miles northeast of Viscount, Saskatchewan. We're in the middle of the prairie pothole region. Tremendous amount of wetlands in this part of the world. The property is owned by the Young family. They've had this property for well over 100 years.
We have had the farm here since 1905, where my grandfather came and homesteaded here and started the farm out for us. My father carried it on, and I carried it on, and now my son is carrying it on.
The grass that are under your feet were not seeded. They've been here from eternity, and that makes it extremely unique. There's very little of this left in the world today. This is where waterfowl breed. That's why it's so important to us to protect the wetland. It's a roosting area in the fall for migratory birds. There's a tremendous amount of waterfowl raised in this area adjacent to this lake. And so this is a natural born attraction for both the sandhill crane and the whooping crane.
Each year, the cranes, they migrate to here as part of their path to where they go and nest and hatch their little ones. And then in the fall, they come back here, and this spot is where they rest and then end up in the south. It is quite unique of a place to be. Lots of people do not know about areas like this out in the world. All they see is pavement. So out here, it's nature.
Being 3,100 acres, this is one of the largest conservation easement projects we've done in this province.
This area that we're standing on right now has been something special for me in my lifetime. It's been just kind of a refuge, I guess, where you could come and clear your mind if some things aren't doing good some days, or you can think through some problems, or you can just sit and see what's happening around, because there's all kinds of things that can help you get through some tough times.
I think the world has gone away from passing on traditions. A lot of the times there's 1 or 2 quarters, but there's not 18 quarters in a block that will be conserved for a lifetime. We're guaranteeing the land never to be broken up. Something that I've always wanted to do. It's something I would like to pass on to my generation as my generation's passed on to me.
If you were to come out here and sit here in the morning and listen to the marsh wake up, it would imprint you for life, I can guarantee you. I mean, the whole cycle evolves here every year, and that's why we do what we do, to maintain the natural balance in as much as we can.
That worked way better. I think it's just kind of gives the, I'll stop it. It gives the feeling of the passion of the people within our organization, within our partnerships, and those that support our organization. And I think it highly represents kind of what most people in this room probably feel about habitat and wildlife and why we're passionate about it. So with that, I'd like to invite up our current chairman of the board, Jim Couch. About 3 years ago, Jim decided we needed to find another way to recognize and thank people for their support, for their partnership. Jim came up with the Order of Conservation, kind of a Canadian twist on recognition. And I'll let Jim come up and explain the award and then present them to the commissioners in the agency.
Thank you, Dave. I think you can tell by the video that's a special place on earth for me. So, pretty unique. Mr. Chairman, commissioners, guests, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you today. Even though I'm located approximately 2,000 miles away from this location, there's a very unique connection between us and you. And that connection is wildlife, wetlands, and the natural landscapes that we're trying to protect. And I see the same passion in this group that's in this room today as I see in my own backyard in Saskatchewan, and that's what's drawing us together. So thank you for that. As Dave mentioned, I established this award 3 years ago. What became very obvious to me as I traveled across North America from the Arctic to the southern tips of Mexico to the west coast to the east coast was the drive and the leadership that's shown by many different organizations, individuals, corporations, states, federal governments. And I wanted to come up with something that would be unique to that leadership. And so that's what I've established. We've recognized individuals who have been exemplary in wildlife protection, some of the science work that's done across North America, commission's efforts, state efforts, leadership like Tennessee. And so it's unique in what's out there, but it is a tying force between us all who are in the same business of conservation of wetlands and other things in the natural elements. So it's been a great pleasure of mine to meet with those individuals and to meet with you today to talk about this. It's something to be celebrated. So it's obvious that people of Tennessee understand the nature of cross-border efforts because it's reflected in your long-term connection with funding that's been stretched across this North American continent. The Wildlife Resource Agency has played a leading role in this in the United States. Your agency sent its first grant to DU Canada in 1968, as Dave outlined yesterday. In 1993, you reinstituted the grant, and you've been a consistent contributor ever since 1993. But last year, your commission stepped up to a new level, a unique level in the United States, when you agreed to meet your AFWA goal level of $166,000. That puts you in a unique group. There's a relatively small number of the states that are at that level. But what I will say is through leadership like yours and the state, it's enticing other states to attain those same goals. And there's an effort out there by many states to get up to that level. So thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your direction in that regard. So $166,000 a year. Dave outlined yesterday what that does on the ground. We can leverage that many times over, and we do leverage that. Right now we enjoy, well, I shouldn't say enjoy. Exchange goes against us personally, but it goes for us in the conservation world. So 30% adder on top of the money that's leveraged up, and put that on the landscape. So when you take a property like the Young property, it was roughly $900,000. To get back to where we need to be, that's less than $200,000 physical money in the initial stage, and we can leverage that to the full $900,000. So it's the power of leverage that works here. The state of Tennessee has deposited over $3.2 million into
cross-border conservation. An excellent number, something you should be very proud of. One thing I've recognized as I travel across the states is it's not an easy decision for a state to spend money outside of its state, let alone outside of its country. And I've talked to many individuals across this country about how they dealt with that specific thing. And the standard response I get across this country is, just show us what you do with the money, and it's an easy thing to explain why we do it. So we're attempting to do that as much as we can. If you need help with that, please call on us. We're more than happy to support you in that. So today, I'm very proud to present a special Ducks Unlimited Canada Order of Conservation as a way of acknowledging your leadership. As I said, the award is for extraordinary leadership in this part of our conservation mission. In today's world, conservation is becoming more important every day. So joining forces with all the conservation groups is one way to leverage our leadership and to leverage what we do on the ground. At this time, I would like to call each of the commission people up to accept a small plaque from us for your contribution. With that, I will start with Chairman Cook. Kurt Holbert. Kent Woods. Brian McLaren. Thank you, Brian. Angie Bucks. Thank you. Connie King. You having another birthday today? Bill Cox. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, sir.
Tony Sanders. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, sir. Dennis Gardner. Thanks, sir. Hey, Dennis. James Stroud. Thanks, James. Bill Swan. Bill, thank you. We also have plaques for some previous directors who were instrumental in what you've attained. So I'll just read those names. Trey Tegg, David Watson, Jim Bledsoe, Dr. Jeff McMillan, Jim Ripley, Arnold Cannon, and of course, the next level that I want to call up to talk about is somebody who is extremely key to what you've attained as an organization is Ed Carter. Ed's leadership in this area is well known across the country. You and your team of waterfowl staff are highly respected throughout the U.S. and Canada. And your leadership is encouraging other states to embrace the same kind of cross-border approach that you have embraced. So once again, we have the leadership of one state affecting many states and provinces across North America. Ed, please come forward and accept on behalf of your staff and the agency the original plaque of the Order of Conservation.
If you can orchestrate, if we could have a commission at the podium, we're gonna have to pull some together.
Right in the center.
We can get 2 rows. Oh, yeah.
Just right up there.
Under that fantastic picture.
Right in the middle probably makes sense.
This is really nice.
Other side.
Can you get it?
I want to step back. You'll be fine. I'll get that done.
Everybody look right at this man right here, okay? Right here.
You're welcome. So in closing, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to challenge you to continue to harness your enthusiasm for what you do. And I challenge you to find new ways of contributing to wetland conservation across this great continent that we live in, both at home and internationally. In closing, I'd like to personally invite all of you to tour Western Canada with Dave or myself. We have unique opportunity. You've seen some of it in the video. There's some pretty amazing things there. We're trying the best we can to protect what we have left, but that is a heavy challenge for us to embark on. So once again, thank you for all you do. We're proud to be your friends and your partners. Have a good day.